we present Stephen Murray as Q Penlove with Monica Gray as Lily Forrester in The Intervener, adapted by Cynthia Pughe from the television play by Donald Wilson. The Intervener.
Well, there you are, Mr. Penlove. You were right.
Was I, Trumper? What about?
Gardner and Consolidated Press. I've just had a call from Wilberforce.
Settlement?
So he says. I've no reason to doubt him.
How much?
Oh, to be agreed, of course. It won't be less than 6,000.
Better not be.
Mr. Gardner wanted 8.
Mr. Gardner might get it, too, in court. On the other hand, he might not. We'll advise him to settle, yeah?
You always do, Mr. Penlove.
Not always. Mostly. Only if the offer's good enough. Now, look, Trumper, you and I know that any case taken to court is a gamble. In a jury case, that is. A good lawyer shouldn't advise his clients to gamble.
I should hope not.
All the same, I wish some newspaper baron would see fit to libel me. I'd smite him hip and thigh.
And I'd advise you to settle.
All this damned work. Trumper, it's a splendid afternoon, and Middlesex are at the Oval. Any more clients?
Not today, Mr. Penlove.
Write me a letter to Gardner. Tell him the news and what we advise. I'll sign it before I go.
Very good.
Trumper, put together all the papers on that Collindale property thing. I'll go over them tonight.
Oh, this is your chess night.
Oh, so it is. Oh, and it can't be helped. I've got to do a case to counsel tomorrow. Oh, damn. No chess.
Bad luck, Mr. Penlove.
Hello? Who is it?
Jeremy, is that you? Caroline Erskine here.
Caroline, how are you?
I'm well, as usual.
Good, good. And Herbert?
He's splendid. Now, Jeremy, will you do something for me? I have to swear an affidavit. May I come and do it at you?
Well, you may come and do it before me, certainly. I'll come whenever you like. Won't take 5 minutes.
Would Friday be all right?
Friday. Let's see.
Herbert's coming up that day anyway and wants me to come with him. Why? I can't imagine.
Nonsense, Caroline. You just want me to tell you why.
Oh, Jeremy, you're brutal to me. Is Friday possible?
Yes. Say 3:45.
Lovely.
I look forward to seeing you then.
Goodbye, Jeremy. Thank you.
Bye, Caroline. Yes?
Mr. Penlove, excuse me. There's someone to see you.
The client?
Perhaps, sir. I don't know. It's a young lady.
We don't know any young ladies.
No, sir.
Ever seen her before?
No. Her name is Miss Lily Forrester.
What does she want?
She says she wants to see a lawyer.
Oh, she's come to the right shop. Did she say why?
No.
Well, has she any kind of an introduction?
She didn't say so.
Why didn't you tell her to go away?
Well, I don't exactly know, sir.
Does she look rich? Influential?
No.
What then? What's she like?
Poor, I think. Poorish, anyway. There's something about her.
Must be.
Innocence, perhaps. She seems, defeated.
Innocence? Defeated? What extraordinary words for you to use. But I will see this unusual young lady. Open the door, Trumper.
Very well, sir. Mr. Penlove will see you.
Oh, thank you.
Miss Forrester, how do you do?
It's good of you to see me, Mr. Penlove. I need help, and so I thought...
Well, lawyers don't help people, you know. At least not professionally. They sell them legal advice. However...
That's what I mean. That's what I need.
Well, I guess you better sit down and tell me all about it.
Thank you.
What is your full name, please?
Lily Grace Forrester.
Lily Grace Forrester.
That's my maiden name. I use it now.
You're married, then?
I was. We were divorced 5 years ago. My husband's name is Philip Barron.
I see. Philip Barron. And did he or did you?
What? Oh, I get you. I divorced him.
And you haven't remarried, I take it?
That's right.
Has he?
Phil? I think so. Someone wrote and told me he had.
Right. You've been out of London, then?
Yes, ever since. I went abroad. I only got back a few days ago.
And where are you living now?
I've got lodgings in Kennington. You know, near the Oval. 27 Racegirdle Street.
Racegirdle Street, Kennington. Any particular reason for choosing that district?
No, except I was born near there. My father was a pro cricketer.
Not Forrester C.J.
That's right.
Well, to think you're the daughter of Forrester C.J. Surrey 11, 1922, 39. Many's the time I saw him in action.
Me too.
You used to watch him, yes?
Of course I did. I was the only one, you see. No boys for him to coach along.
Oh, pity. Oh, he was a fine bowler. Very fine bowler. I played 5 innings against Surrey.
You did? Who for?
Middlesex. Amateur, of course, and pretty well down in the order. Only 3 seasons, and I was caught up in the law. I remember your father. Well, I ought to. He took my wicket 4 times. Same ball each time, too. Late-out swinger. Never learned to leave it alone. You couldn't have remembered... No, of course not. You were scarcely born. Well, Forrester C.J. Oh, there was a man that really bowled his heart out.
That's right. It killed him.
Oh, I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I mustn't forget you came to me for advice. By the way, why me?
I sort of stuck a pin in you.
What?
You know, like racing.
Oh.
I was going round all these lawyers' names on the boards, and suddenly I saw Q Penlove. I'd never seen the name Q before. Perhaps that was it.
Extraordinary.
What does it stand for?
Quentin. Damn silly, isn't it?
But they don't call you that.
My first name's Jeremy. Will you smoke a cigarette?
Thank you. Thanks.
Now then, what can I do for you?
It's about my divorce.
Well, that's 5 years ago, you said. Was there anything irregular about it?
Oh, no, nothing. Only I've never had any money from Phil. No alimony.
You mean maintenance? Why not? Didn't your lawyer ask for it at the time? Well, he must have done. Anyway, why aren't you talking to him instead of me?
I think he's dead. In any case, I didn't trust him.
I'm surprised. Leaving you without maintenance, indeed. But it must have been asked for in the suit. What happened?
Well, I was earning a good deal more than Phil at the time.
Doing what?
Dancing.
Ballet?
Oh, I studied it, of course. But this was speciality work. Cabaret, musical shows, you know.
No, I don't, I'm afraid. Go on.
I was doing very well. And plenty of contracts coming along. Whereas Phil wasn't making much.
What's his job?
Motor engineering. He's clever, right enough. But it's slow. Anyhow, I didn't want his money, even if he had any. And that's what I told the judge.
And he made an order to that effect? No maintenance?
Yes.
And off you went abroad?
To Paris, then Lisbon and Brazil. After that, the States. Oh, all over.
You were successful?
I made a good living. Now I'm nearly broke.
Oh, why? What went wrong?
I smashed 2 of my toes. Look.
Oh, shocking luck.
It doesn't affect me otherwise. But, of course, I'll never dance again.
Forgive me, I know very little about these things, but you're used to the stage. Isn't there anything else?
I'm no actress, if that's what you mean. And I'm not comic. Or beautiful, am I?
Well, I don't know. I should have thought... what are you going to do?
Find a job. Won't be much, because I'm not trained. Shop assistant, perhaps. But Phil owes me something. And if he could pay my keep while I'm training...
Have you asked him?
Oh, Lord, no. I don't even know where he's living. In any case, you don't ask Phil to pay. You have to make him. That's why I've come to you.
I see. Well, Miss Forrester, I'd like to help you, if only for your father's sake.
Thank you.
But this is a one-man firm. I deal in the duller side of the law, conveyancing, probate, and so on. The occasional civil case. I know little about divorce.
I thought lawyers knew everything.
Oh, on the contrary, like dancers, we specialize. But my impression is that when a judge makes an order as to maintenance, it is irrevocable. That means no one can alter it. No one can make your ex-husband pay you anything.
Well, that's what I thought. But then a girlfriend showed me this. It's about a thing called the Matrimonial Causes Bracket, Property and Maintenance Bracket Act of 1958.
Well, heavens. Yeah, no.
Here you are.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The act will come into force on 1st of January 1959. So valuable are the benefits it will confer that lawyers everywhere are calling it the Wives' Magna Carta. Well, here's one that isn't, but you haven't heard of it. Well, I suppose I have, but we've never had a case. Wives' Magna Carta, no less.
Is it any good?
Oh, I don't know. Well, it might be. Well, it just might be. Look, we must go into this for you. May take a day or two.
I don't mind.
Excuse me, Mr. Penlove. Your taxi will be here in 5 minutes. Meantime, here's the letter you asked me to.
Give it to me, Trumper. I'll sign it with the others. Now, listen. I want you to find out all you can about the Matrimonial Causes, Property and Maintenance Act of 58. Orders made under it or decisions on it since January 59.
Do you want to see the act itself?
Certainly. But above all, I want to know whether it applies to divorces granted prior to 1959. Say 1956? 1956, Trumper.
Very good, Mr. Penlove. Is there anything else? The Collindale papers are in the file.
Thanks, that's all.
Very good, sir.
Excuse me, just 2 minutes, please, while I sign these.
Of course.
Seen any cricket since you came back, Miss Forrester?
No, I haven't been able to.
Oh, silly of me, how could you? I expect you missed it over there in Brazil and so on. In the States, too. Though, here they play a bit in Connecticut. Or was it Massachusetts?
Nobody told me about that.
No, I wouldn't. Nothing but blasted baseball. That's a well-named sport. You're still keen, though?
Me? Yes.
Good girl. As a matter of fact, I thought of calling in at the Oval on my way home. It's an early finish and probably exciting. You care to come?
Oh, I'd just love to. Thanks.
Good. Good night, you Trapper. See you in the morning.
Good night, Mr. Penlove.
Come along, then. If we're quick, we'll see the last hour of the match.
Oh, thanks very much. That will be nice. Coming, Joey. Coming, my love. Oh, dear, I hope he's not going to be a pest tonight. All right, Joey, here I am. Now, what's the matter? There, my son. There. Shh.
Jean!
There's Daddy now. Won't be a moment, Ted. Hello, Philip, darling. Your son and heir wants to say goodnight.
So I shall, then. But, Jean, it looks as if you'll have something to inherit.
You don't mean...
The Philip Barron fog lamp's a success, my love.
At last! Oh, darling. Is it really settled?
Looks like it. Barker rang me late this afternoon. He'd been with the general manager and the firm's cost accountant. They tried to beat him down in all sorts of ways.
But Barker stood firm.
He did. It's just as well I didn't negotiate myself. I'd have bungled it.
Not you.
Yes, me. They started by saying there was nothing really new in the idea of a swiveling fog lamp.
Perhaps there isn't, but you made it work.
Well, then they pointed out that by law you mustn't operate a moving lamp while the car's in motion, and the public wouldn't want to keep stopping to adjust it.
So Barker said...
Barker said this is a fog lamp. The public, he hoped, would be moving very slowly anyway in a fog. He then said the public would be delighted with a lamp they could adjust without getting out of their cars into a pea super. In fact, he said, that was the whole value of my swivel lamp, and that's what the patent covers.
Good old Barker.
It was all a try-on, you know. They really wanted.
What about the money side?
Quite all right, in the end. They wanted to pay me a small sum and royalties, but they finally came round. 5,000 for the outright sale. 250 of that goes to Barker, and he deserves it.
Philip, that's wonderful.
Isn't it? I've got a surprise for you. Look, champagne.
Oh.
When did we last have champagne?
When Joey was born. I'll get the glasses.
You haven't got champagne glasses.
Well, that doesn't matter.
But I have. In my case here.
What a splendid chap you are sometimes. In fact, most times.
Who's coming to sit in?
Mrs. Armitage, she should be here soon. What time do you want to leave?
About 8. Okay.
Fine. I just got to brush my hair and titivate a bit. Ah, there we are.
I asked Barker to come back to share the champagne, but he couldn't.
The more I hear of this lawyer of yours, the better I like him.
You'd better like him. He's coming along to dinner tonight to meet Johnny Trent.
Oh? Why?
Oh, quick, hold the glass. That's right. Why? To talk business.
What kind of business? Won't I be in the way?
Not you. Mary Trent will keep you company.
Oh, I'm a little nervous. I'm not awfully good with new people, you know. It's so hard to think of things to talk about. Have they got children?
The Trents? 2, I believe. Teenagers. Anyway, they tell me there's nothing like champagne to give you confidence, social savoir-faire, and all that bagwash. Here's to you, darling.
And to you. And to the Barron swivel lamp.
The Barron swivel lamp. And to all who sail in her.
And so you think that if Bassett had declared earlier...
Well, 14 minutes earlier. Say tea time yesterday. Oh, yeah. Surrey would have won.
Surrey might have lost.
Well, they might. That's the game, isn't it?
An amateur captain would have declared. Bassett's a pro. Here we are. Come in, won't you?
Well, I mustn't stop.
I just wanted you to see where I live. One room. With a sort of kitchen through there and a bath. And a loo in case...
No, thanks. No, it's cozy.
Hokey, you mean?
No, really.
Sordid. But it'll do till I get something better.
Well, we must see that you do.
Do you think there's a chance?
Oh, it must be. Anyway, we try.
You're kind.
Nonsense. My job.
No, I mean, taking me to the match and bringing me home. I mean, I did enjoy it.
Good. Splendid. So did I.
I'm so glad.
Yes. Now, let's see. You better give me till Friday. Will you come to my office? Say 4 o'clock?
Okay.
Good. Well, good evening to you.
Goodbye. And thanks again. So far, so good.
More champagne, darling?
Yes, please, Phil. Oh, that's the best champagne I've tasted since Joey was born. What did you do when Barker phoned? Did you go mad?
In a way. I got myself the sack.
You did what?
I got fired. You see, they sent
But,
for me.
Philip, I thought we agreed. We talked it all over. We agreed that you wouldn't give up your job. Not yet,
I didn't
mean...
resign. At least that wasn't the intention.
But you did, didn't you? They needled you and you let fly.
Not quite.
But near enough. Oh, Philip, the first time we've ever looked like being secure and you let it go to your head.
Shall I tell you what did happen?
Yes, do, please.
They sent for me, as I said. Somehow they'd heard about the lamp.
How?
I don't know. It's jolly hard to keep things secret.
Who told them?
They don't have to be told. Information sort of floats on the wind. Anyway, they knew something. Not the details, of course. So they tried to pull a fast one. They said that while I was working for them, anything I invented was their property.
But could it be? I mean, you worked on this at home.
They also knew somehow that I'd been talking to Johnny Trent.
But how could they?
Darling, I don't know. All I know is what they said. They demanded full details of the lamp and full rights in the patent. They were prepared to be generous. Oh, yes. Some ex gratia payment would doubtless come my way. About £100, I should think.
Philip, have they got the right to do that?
Thank God, no. I checked afterwards with Barker.
Are you sure?
He's sure. I've no service agreement, so there's nothing on paper. They can't touch me, and I don't owe them a thing.
You had a good job.
Yes. And now I've got £5,000. And before the evening's over, I'll be Johnny Trent's junior partner with an investment of $4,500 in the business.
But no job at $1,600 a year. What did you say to them?
I told them to stuff it. Barker says I was right.
I'm not sure I'm as fond of Barker as I was. You and I agreed that if this came off, you'd wait and...
But didn't you take in what I was saying? I didn't have a choice, darling. I had to make a decision. Johnny Trent won't wait, so it was now or never. And this chance is just what I've been looking for.
So you're out of work, and all the money goes into Trent's engineering business. What do we live on?
I'll draw a salary, of course, just as Johnny does.
How much?
That's still to be settled. About 900 to start with.
900?
Plus my share of the profits.
If there are any.
There will be. It's a sound little business, and we'll make it grow. Just watch us.
Philip, I'm worried.
Of course you are. Women always worry when their men start launching out on their own. But you must believe in me and what I can do.
I believe in you, Philip. You know I do. But now I've got to believe in Johnny Trant.
It's what I want, Jean. What I've always wanted. To be my own master. To develop my own ideas in my own firm. To see something grow out of them. With Johnny, I can do it. And now I've got you and Joey to do it for. Well, that's twice the incentive. I can't miss, Jean. I can't miss. I won't let you down, love. I'll look after you. Both of you.
I know you will. Oh, Philip, I'm sorry. Women are damn fools sometimes, and I suppose I'm as silly as most. I didn't mean to spoil everything.
You haven't. Now, swizzle this down and have another glass. One more.
Oh, that's Mrs. Armitage. I'll let her in.
Right. And I'll go and say goodnight to Joey. Has he been good today?
Good? He doesn't know the meaning of the word, but he's been angelically bad. Coming.
Hello, Jean.
You? Lily.
Sorry to give you a shock. Maybe I should have sent you a telegram. Can I come in?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Oh, nice little place. Is Phil home?
Come into the sitting room.
Nice. How long have you been here?
Since we were married.
Oh, 3 years, eh? Funny, I only heard about it last month. Of course, I knew he'd get married again, but somehow I never thought it'd be you.
No?
Not after me, I mean. They say men always go for the same type, don't they? And look at us. Chalk and cheese.
Perhaps he'd had enough of your type.
Oh, well, there's no accounting for taste, is there? Not much of the old stuff left, I see.
No. We got rid of what we could.
Even that big bed we had.
That went first.
Shame. That was a lovely bed. I spent a lot on that bed.
Why are you here, Lily? What do you want?
Oh, not a thing, Jean. Just thought I'd look you up after all this time. See how you're getting along.
We're getting along fine.
That's good. Of course, you always did have your eye on Phil, didn't you? Even at school, remember? What a crush. Phil and I had many a laugh about it. Still, you got him at last, and all's well that ends well.
I think so.
Yes. Oh, same old Phil, mucking about with this and that. This workbench, for instance. What a mess. Doesn't it drive you up the wall?
No.
What, all that noise and scraping and staying up half the night?
I don't mind.
Maybe you wouldn't. But I did, I can tell you.
I know that already.
It's funny, to think of you and him talking me over, as if I was dead or something.
We don't mention you often.
Oh, not now, I don't suppose, but at first. What's it like being married to someone else's husband?
We won't discuss that if you don't mind.
Oh, I don't mind. Expect you get quite a kick out of it, don't you, Jean? Seeing it was me.
Now, look here, Lily,
Oh, come off it. You never liked me. You thought I was common. And if you want to know, I thought you were a toffee-nosed snob. Fair enough. Oh, champagne, I see. What's the celebration?
Nothing in particular.
You mean you drink champagne every night? Phil must be doing well. Or are you working again? Oh, no, you wouldn't. Not with a baby.
How do you know about my baby?
Oh, I don't know. People tell you things and you remember them if they're interesting. Like you and Phil getting married and having a boy. It is a boy, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, Phil must be pleased. He always wanted a boy.
But you wouldn't give him one.
Oh, no, dear. That's where you're wrong. Dead wrong. Never mind that. What's the big occasion?
I'm sorry, Lily, but I can't see that it's any of your business.
It isn't your birthday, nor Phil's. And it's not your wedding anniversary. Couldn't be this lamp, could it? Don't tell me he's sold one of his potty inventions. No, that I can't believe.
Why not?
Then he has. Good Lord, wonder boy's done it at last. How much for? A couple of hundred? More than that, eh? A lot more by the look of you. Now, that's very interesting.
He's asleep now. Lily!
Hello, Phil. Long time no see.
What are you doing here?
Jean's been telling me about the invention. Success at last. Congratulations.
I didn't say anything Philip should guess.
Never mind that. I don't know what you came here for, Lily, but you can damn well clear out again.
Oh, now, Phil, is that nice after all this time? After I've climbed up all those stairs just to see you?
You heard what I said. Get out of here.
I remember you saying that once before, and I went. But if I'd as much as turned round at the door, you'd have called me back, wouldn't you?
Philip's told you, Lily, and now I'm telling you. Neither of us want to see you ever again, so will you please go?
What? No champagne for poor Lily? Well, never mind, kids. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good time while you can.
Oh, Philip. Oh, Philip, that was awful. Why did she come?
I don't know, my darling, but she's gone now. You're shaking. Calm down now. It's all right.
I'm shaking with rage. How dare she come here?
Quiet, Jean. Don't worry.
I can't help it. I'm not used to hating people or being horrible to them.
You only said what you had to say, and so did I.
Yes, you did, Philip. Oh, I was so glad you spoke straight out.
Well, I wasn't going to have her walking in here like that, as if we were old friends or something. Damn cheek.
Is that all it was?
What do you mean?
I don't quite know, but, well, you remember what Lily was.
I'm not likely to forget.
No, poor Philip. What I mean is that she was never impulsive. She never did anything on the spur of the moment. She calculated. And then what she did was always what was best for Lily.
You can say that again.
It was the same at school. We all got into mischief, Lily most of all, but she never got found out. She always had an alibi, and butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. And she looked like an angel. The mistresses adored her. She used to tell us about it and laugh. How I loathed her.
Not more than I do.
Are you sure?
After what she did to me.
Oh, I know you couldn't possibly like her. I don't believe you ever did, really, but you had a dreadful passion for her.
I wouldn't deny that, Jean. Even after she and I were married, my knees used to shake if I just saw her across the room. But that's gone. Thank God that's all gone.
Oh, Philip. Oh, just to hear you say it.
So that's what bothered you. You seriously thought that after 3 years with you... Do you think I don't know what I've got? You and Joey and all this? It'd take more than Lily. Bring them all on. Bridget Bardot, Marilyn Monroe, the lot. I wouldn't open the door to any of them.
You protest too much, darling. But I believe you. And if that's so, there's nothing she can do, is there? She can't touch us.
She'd better not try.
But I'd still like to know why she came.
Curiosity, that's all. Sheer bitchy curiosity. She hoped we'd be living in squalor with a bailiff under the bed. Well, I hope she's satisfied.
I swear by Almighty God that this is my name and handwriting, and that the contents of this my affidavit are true. There now. Was that all right, Jeremy?
Admirable, Caroline. Now, may I have 5 shillings, please?
What? You're joking.
Oh, on the contrary, swearing in a lawyer's office is purely a cash transaction.
Gracious.
Oh, it's a sensible arrangement, after all. You're not allowed to swear affidavits before your own lawyer. But if we started sending round accounts for 5 bob, we'd end up paying them all ourselves.
I see the point. There you are. 2 half-crowns.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Caroline. How's old Herbert?
Getting older.
Oh, aren't we all?
Oh, that's a pretty speech, I must say.
Oh, you don't change.
Too late, Jeremy. Too late.
No, I mean it. You were a pretty girl, now you're a pretty woman. That's the only difference.
Vive la différence? I don't think so.
You regret your youth?
Don't you?
I never really thought about it. But no. No, I don't. I enjoy life.
Enjoy it, nonsense. You potter through it like a canal boat. You do a little work.
Not too much.
Not too much. You stroll to your club, dine out occasionally.
Not too often.
And go and watch that dreary cricket.
I play chess, too, once a week.
Exactly. And you call that enjoying life? No passions, no storms, no drama.
God forbid.
You astonish me. You always have.
Oh?
Yes, because there's more to you than you ever let anyone see.
You flatter me.
Rubbish. You're capable of fun and excitement and emotion. You're not a mouse, not really. You're a man. I ought to know.
Now, Caroline.
All right, but it's true. You should get married.
No. No.
Well, why not?
It'll make some good woman very unhappy.
I dare say, but even that's better than... Oh, I don't know. I would have married you if you'd asked me. You know that, don't you?
Do I?
Of course you do. Why didn't you ask me?
Oh, I'm not the marrying kind.
Jeremy, what nonsense. Everybody's the marrying kind. And if ever I saw a husband monkey...
Caroline, you're a dangerous and designing woman. You go and unsettle someone else. I'm too old to handle.
You're a stubborn old pig. That's what you are. I give up.
Good.
Oh, I forgot. You know my cousin Jemmy in Hampshire, the doggy one? Well, her cocker bitch has a new litter, she tells me, and I thought you might like to have...
Excuse me, Mrs. Erskine.
It's all right, Mr. Chumper. I'm just going. Now, don't you think a puppy would be nice, Jeremy?
No, thank you.
It'll be company for you.
Caroline, I don't need a dog.
Of course you do, and you shall have one. I'm going to arrange it. Now, come and see us soon. Dine with us next week. Tuesday, 8 o'clock.
Lovely.
Oh, thank you. I'll find my own way out, Mr. Jumper. Goodbye, Jeremy.
Goodbye, Caroline. Well, Trumper?
The Forrester papers, Mr. Penlove.
Thank you. And Miss Forrester?
She hasn't arrived yet.
Oh, she's late.
Oh, hardly. It's just on 4. Will you take your tea now?
I think not. When Miss Forrester... Oh, here she is.
Can I come in?
Hello. Please do. You're limping. What's the matter? Oh, another accident.
No, nothing like that. It's just that when I get tired, my foot...
Oh, now, come sit down. Trumper, would you get some tea, please? Lots of tea and some cakes.
Yes, Mr. Penlove. Cakes.
You like tea, I'm sure.
I'm dying for a cup. Oh, that's better. Could I have a cigarette, please?
Yes, of course. Here you are.
Thanks. Thank you.
Now, what have you been up to?
Looking for a job.
Any luck?
Not much.
What have you tried?
Agencies mostly. Theatrical, photographic, people I used to know. Now they don't want to know me.
Why not?
Well, that's how it goes in our profession. When you're up, there's nothing too good for you. And when you're down the drain. And like I said, I can't do my real job anymore, so...
What about the photographic side?
Nowadays, I'm the wrong shape.
I don't believe it.
Honestly, wrong shape all over. You've got to have eyes like this. Doe eyes, they call them.
Call them what?
Doe eyes, like Audrey Hepburn. I call it a starved cat expression. Then you need a great long neck, like this. Oh, and a dead flat chest, of course.
Oh, really?
Sure. Bosoms are in for film stars and out, absolutely out, my dear, for models.
Well, don't you mean the other way round?
What? Oh, I get it. Oh, bright, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know. What else?
Long, skinny legs, and enormous feet at 2:45, like this.
It's marvelous. I see them in the papers.
Yes, it's not exactly me, is it?
You take it all very well, I must say.
Oh, no use moaning, especially to you, when you're being so good to me.
Oh, well, now. Ah, tea. Thank you, Trumper.
Am I to pour out?
If you will. 1 lump and no milk for me.
Enough cakes, Miss Forrester.
Far too many. If I eat that lot, I'll never make the glossies, will I? The starved cat look, remember?
Will that be all, Mr. Penlove?
Yes, thanks, Trumper. Perhaps we should get down to business.
All right. Did you find out about that matrimonial act thing?
Yes, and I think you have a case.
Do you really? Here's your tea.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I really think so. The real problem was whether the 1958 Act was retrospective.
What's that?
Whether you could apply it now to a divorce granted in 1956, as yours was.
I see. Does it?
Well, the Act itself is a little, a little ambiguous on point. And the divorce experts I consulted couldn't give me a firm answer.
So what did you do? I know by the look on your face you did something.
Well, I had a word on the telephone with a friend of mine, a leading counsel.
That's a barrister.
Yes. He very kindly directed my attention to a case decided last January, Brown versus Brown. It was broadly on the same point. The circumstances were complicated, but part of the decision was the effect that the new rules could be applied where the divorce had taken place in 1956.
And that makes, what do they call it?
A precedent. Possibly. Very likely, in fact.
Good.
He also pointed out that the 1958 Act only applies if the wife had included an application for maintenance in her original petition.
But I refused.
You did, in court, and his lordship ordered accordingly.
Then I'm stumped.
No, not at all. Right foot well behind the popping crease. Thanks to your lawyer. He applied for maintenance, sensible chap. What you declared in court doesn't affect that.
Whew. I take back all I said about him.
Yeah, so you might. But since he's been dead for 2 years...
How did you know all that?
I spoke to his firm.
No, I mean about what happened.
Well, it's all in the court record.
I see. Does it say everything in the record?
Everything to do with the divorce.
About Phil's...
His unfaithfulness, yes. And not letting you have a baby. You wanted one, didn't you?
Yes, I wanted one, all right. Oh, well, bags of time for that. What do we do now?
Hmm? Oh, well, we're writing your husband a letter through his solicitor. A purely formal letter, enclosing a notice of application to vary maintenance and stating that we propose to file an affidavit on your behalf setting out the change in your circumstances.
Oh, Lord.
Anything wrong?
No, not really. It's just that all that solemn sort of talk.
Well, it's dull, I agree, but necessary. It's the way we have to express things.
Oh, I know that, and I'm grateful to you, honestly I am. But...
What is it, Miss Forrester? What's the matter?
Miss Forrester, you see? It's all so old and hidebound.
Well, I'll call you Lily if it helps at all.
Well, it's something.
You're a remarkable girl, aren't you? When you fail to get a job, you're as merry as can be, and then suddenly...
Mr. Penlove, will you take me out again?
More cricket?
Yes, all right. Cricket if you like. A walk round Battersea Park. I don't care. Anything, anywhere. I'm lonely.
You're lonely? Well, how can that be?
I don't know anybody. And the people I do know I wouldn't be seen dead with. Will you?
Well, why not? I've got tickets for the test at Lord's tomorrow. Do you want to come?
Yes, please.
Splendid. I'll meet you at 11 at the Grace Gates, and we'll... Sarge, Grace is your middle name, isn't it?
Yes.
Your father's idea?
He wanted to call me Hobbs.
Oh.
But Mum wouldn't have it. Well, you can't call a girl Hobbs, can you?
No, Grace is certainly prettier. More appropriate. Now then, let's get on with this. I'll try not to be any more pompous than I can help.
And I'll try not to interrupt.
That's the deal. Now, for the purpose of this completely formal letter...
Is that you, Phil?
Did you expect someone else, darling? How's our son?
Fast asleep. I'll go and get the dinner. Oh, there's a letter for you on the sideboard. Came by the second post.
Oh, yes, I've got it. Now, Barron, I'm afraid I've got bad news for you. The attempted solicitor this morning, I'm saying. Oh, no. Jean, here a minute.
Quietly, darling. You wake Joey. Phil, what is it?
It's from Barker.
Oh, dear. About the lamp. About Johnny Trant.
No. Listen. Dear Barron, I'm afraid I've got bad news for you. The attached registered letter arrived this morning, and I'm sending it on immediately, having formally acknowledged it. Unfortunately, I'm away this weekend and won't be back till Monday. Ring me at the office and we'll meet. Yours sincerely. P.S. Don't worry too much about the figure mentioned. That's a try-on.
Philip. What does the other letter say? Q
Penlove, incorporating Spencer Woodhouse and Sons, Lincoln's Inn. Dear sir, we address this to you as representing Mr. Philip Barron. You will find enclosed a notice of application to vary maintenance, and you will see from this that our client, Mrs. Lily Grace Barron, née Forrester, intends to ask henceforth for the sum of £40 monthly. It is her intention to have this sum secured.
Philip!
We think you will agree that this is not unreasonable.
Unreasonable? Good God.
Oh, darling.
We propose to file on her behalf an affidavit of means setting out the change in her circumstances which give rise to this application. No doubt you will advise your client that he may file evidence in reply unless, as we hope is the case, he is prepared to agree to the sum mentioned, in which case the matter could proceed amicably by way of a consent summons. Yours faithfully, Q Penlove.
Let me see that. £40 a month. So that's why Lily came here, to spy out the land. I said she never did anything without a reason. But, Philip, can they do this?
No, they can't. And I'll tell you why they can't. I asked about it at the time because I wanted to know just where I stood. I told you, remember?
Not awfully well.
Oh, yes, you do. I agreed to let Lily divorce me instead of the other way about.
You wouldn't have done it if I'd been around.
Well, you weren't, and I did.
Why did you? Because you were still in love with her?
No, well, I don't know. Anyhow, it was arranged. I cooked up the evidence.
I remember that bit. You sitting up all night in some ghastly hotel with some ghastly woman you picked up.
Oh, she wasn't so bad. She just needed the £5.
Oh, really, Philip?
And the condition was that Lily wouldn't ask for any money.
And she didn't?
No. Her lawyer asked for it, and I had a bad moment. But then Lily said she didn't need money from me.
I should think not. She was being kept, wasn't she?
By a man called Lewis.
Apart from what she was earning.
Yes. Well, the judge made a definite order. No maintenance. And I distinctly remember asking Barker afterwards if that could ever be changed. And he said, no, it was irrevocable. Irrevocable, that's the word he used. I remember quite clearly.
Well, then, I don't understand.
Nor do I. But the judge said no maintenance.
Then why didn't Barker just send this back? He knows what was agreed as well as you do.
Well, that's what beats me.
I don't like what he says. He seems to accept the situation.
Apart from the amount.
And what does this mean? It is her intention to have this sum secured.
God knows, but one thing's certain. Lily doesn't get a penny out of me.
If she does, it'll be over my dead body. Oh, there's Joey wanting his feed. Don't worry, darling. We'll sort it out.
I hope so. I certainly hope so.
Now, I wonder who that can be. Better comb my hair. Bit of lipstick. Yes. I look all right.
Who is it?
May I come in?
Why, of course.
Oh, beg your pardon. I didn't think you'd be in bed.
I don't mind. Come on in and shut the door.
I shouldn't have come here so late.
Oh, it's
but...
not late.
Well, not very late, anyway.
I'm glad to see you.
Thank you. Why didn't you meet me this morning?
Have you come all this way to ask me that?
Yes. Well, no, not exactly. I was...
Do you want to sit down? Oh, you can stand if you like.
Yes, I'd rather. I was worried about you. When you didn't arrive at 11...
How long did you wait?
How long? Well, I don't know. About an hour.
An hour? Then what?
So perhaps I'd missed you somehow.
So?
So I wandered round. Couldn't see you anywhere.
That's not surprising.
No, devil of a crowd, all milling about.
And anyway, I wasn't there, was I?
No, you weren't. Why not?
Then what did you do?
Well, I had a drink, had some lunch, and watched the cricket.
How was it?
Boring.
Boring? A test match?
Well, it seems so to me. I walked and sat with my friends, old friends, men I've known for years. We always talk about the same things when we meet. It's pleasant, you know. We reminisce, Remember old so-and-so, stonewaller for 15 years, gets into the English 11, tries to hit a 6 off his first ball, bold nick and crop, never picked again. That sort of thing. But today it's going on all round me just as usual, but I wasn't there. It was like being in a different dimension. I could see and hear everything, but I felt that nobody could see me. It was disconcerting.
So what did you do?
I went home. Tried to settle down to some work, but it wasn't any good. I kept wondering why you hadn't met me. I'm not a fool. I realized you might have 10 better things to do. Probably something more interesting had come up. But then I remembered your saying that you were lonely. I persuaded myself that you hadn't just stood me up. There was something had gone wrong somehow. So I came to find out.
I was hoping you would.
Yes? Something did happen.
Only my stupid foot. It was giving me jip this morning. I couldn't face walking to the tube and everything.
Of course.
And I couldn't let you know, you see.
Well, I should have thought of that. How is it now?
My foot? Oh, much better.
Good. Good.
Come and sit down. No. Here, on the bed. Why did you really come here this evening? Honest now.
You want me to tell you?
Tell me.
I couldn't face the night without seeing you.
That's a good reason. I like it. What am I going to call you? Jeremy won't do. Oh, no. I'll call you Q. I love my love with a Q because he's so cute. Oh, cute.
Lily.
Kiss me again, darling. Kiss me again. Philip?
Hmm?
Darling? Aren't you coming up to bed? Are you all right, Philip?
I'm okay.
Oh, fine. I woke up and thought you were in here worrying about that beastly letter. You're not, are you?
What? No. Look, Jean, I've had an idea for a modification. You know, the difficulty with a single fog lamp is that either you have to concentrate on the road verge or on the cat's eyes in the middle. But if you could have a double beam, a split beam adjustable to the varying widths of different roads, see what I mean?
Yes, darling. Tell me about it tomorrow, You're a marvelous man. Don't stay up too late, will you?
No, that's all right. 180 degrees. 90, 10 degrees to the spectrum.
Morning, Trumper.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Penlove.
Splendid day, isn't it? Splendid.
Splendid.
How's Mrs. Trumper?
Well, thank you.
The girls?
Both very well.
Good, good. Well, what have you got?
The post is on your desk. A letter from Wilberforce.
Ah, the infamous Wilberforce. What's he got to say?
Consolidated Press will settle for 6,000.
Good.
And costs.
Good. I knew they would. What about Mr. Gardner?
Oh, letter from him, too. He'll settle for whatever you advise.
Sensible Mr. Gardner. Anything else?
Mrs. Erskine telephoned.
No? When?
Just after you left on Saturday morning.
What does she want?
She said she'd seen your new friend and companion.
She said what?
An absolute charmer, she said. Her exact words, I assure you. Silky black hair and a perfect lady. She'll cost you 25 guineas.
Of course, the Cocker Spaniel. Now, look here, Trumper. I don't want a dog. We'll have to stop this.
I tried to put her off, but she was most insistent that I telephoned you because someone else was after the spaniel. So I did.
When? I was at Lord's all day.
Well, I knew that, of course, so I rang you in the evening. More than once.
You did you?
But since you were out and probably going to be late, I decided not to bother you yesterday, being Sunday.
Just consider it.
The dog, I judged, could wait.
You judged right. It can wait forever. All right, Trumper, thank you. I'll go through the post.
First appointment at 10:30. Colonel Macaulay.
See now. Yes, sir. We are writing to acknowledge your registered letter of today's date, which we have forwarded to our client, Mr. Philip Barron. Silky. Perfect lily. Our client, Mr. Philip Barron. We've noted that Mrs. Barron intends to apply for variation and maintenance and will inform you after steps he intends to take in the matter. Yours, etc., J.V. Barker.
But, Mr. Barker, it's monstrous. Are you telling us they can pass a law affecting something that happened 5 years ago?
I didn't say exactly that.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Jean.
You must forgive me, Mrs. Barron, but if we're going to make a decision on the best action to take, we must try to be precise about where we stand. We must look calmly at the situation.
You be calm, I can't. All I know is that through no fault of either of us, we're faced with a complete disaster.
Hardly that, Mrs. Barron.
Precisely that. If Philip had stayed in his old job, we might just have managed, though we'd have been poor. What with the baby and this flat and everything.
Please, don't you think...
But no, if Philip's got to pay all that money, we just can't manage. We shan't be able to.
Jean, let Barker talk. He came here to advise us. Let him do it.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It was just that suddenly when you told us about that damnable law...
I quite understand, Mrs. Barron. The whole thing's been a shock to both of you. But, you know, things are never quite so bad as they look.
No? How do they look to you?
Well, first let's examine the worst. If you have to pay, the amount will be based not on your past income, but on what you'll be earning as a partner in transfer.
900.
Yes. Now, the most they can take is a third. Not £40 a month, but 25.
What about my share of profits?
Well, you haven't earned any yet, have you? You don't know that there will be profits.
There will be.
Fine. But this you don't know, so you can't declare any in your affidavit as to means.
And later? When there are?
Well, that's up to the other side. If at any time they come to believe that your earnings have gone up appreciably, well, they'll ask for another statement.
Good God.
So you can do one of two things. Either take them to court and contest the claim.
Isn't that expensive?
Well, there'll be costs.
Well, how do we meet them?
I suggest by borrowing against your husband's shares in the company.
What chance have we got of winning?
Now, this is tricky. But it's possible you may, because so far there have been very few cases of a retrospective claim. The registrar may well decide in your favor. And there's another factor. Your divorce was arranged, wasn't it?
You know damn well it was.
Against my advice, if you remember.
Yes, all right. So?
So, if that information just happened to leak out...
Couldn't that affect the divorce decree?
Oh, hardly. Absolute means absolute.
Until they pass a new law, you mean?
Oh, no. But it might affect the registrar's attitudes to Mr. Barron's ex-wife if he knew there had been collusion.
So we might win.
You might.
And the alternative is to pay up?
To offer a settlement. Say 20 a month.
What happens if I just don't pay?
Well, they'll come down on your assets. That's what they mean by secured maintenance.
I wondered about that.
You mean my shares in the company?
Yes.
But look, suppose I transferred the whole thing to Jean. The shares, I mean, and just kept my salary.
Well, you could have done that 3 days ago. Not now. The court would reverse it.
They catch you all ways, don't they? Well, Jean, what shall I do?
If they tell you to pay, you pay. But if you give Lily Forrester 1 penny without fighting her to the last ditch, I'll...
Then that's it, Barker. We fight.
Good. And I'll do my best for you.
Spencer Woodhouse. Oh, good afternoon, Mrs. Erskine. Oh, no, Mr. Penlove's engaged at the moment, I'm afraid. No message? Well, very well, Mrs. Erskine. It's goodbye. Good afternoon, Miss Forrester.
Hello, Mr. Trumper. Mr. Penlove in?
There's a client with him at the moment.
Oh, who?
I'm not at liberty to say, Miss Forrester.
All right, I only asked. Is he likely to be long?
Well, now that I couldn't say either.
Couldn't and wouldn't. Same thing with you, isn't it? Well, I can wait.
We have a waiting room.
Oh, no, don't worry. This'll do fine.
Oh, but I...
And then you won't have to fetch me, will you, when the client goes? So I'll sit here. Have you a light?
Yes.
Thanks. You're married, aren't you?
27 years.
Any kids?
2 daughters.
I bet they're a handful.
Hardly.
Oh, why's that? Don't they take after their dad?
I'm told they favor their mother.
Oh, that's nice for you. What do they do?
One is married to a cost accountant. The other's at the London School of Economics.
Golly.
Miss Forrester.
Yes?
I've been meaning to ask you something.
What is it?
Well, I understand you spent some time in New York.
So?
Yes, well, a young friend of mine's about to go there for a spell. Well, now, I've been told that lodgings are difficult, not to say expensive.
Oh, they told you the truth.
Yes, well, so it occurred to me that you might know of some good, reasonable place. Perhaps even where you yourself stayed.
It was a dump.
Well, it may have seemed so to you, but if you'll kindly give me the address, my young friend might not be
What's
so...
his name?
Hmm?
Your young friend. Quick, what's his name?
Wilberforce.
No. No, it wouldn't do for anyone called Wilberforce. No, too bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a pity.
Yes, isn't it?
Will you come in, please, Trumper? Very good. Miss Forrester, please.
Ladies first.
Lily.
Trumper. Hello, Q.
Didn't know you were coming. Why didn't you telephone? No, Trumper, Arkwright and the Collindale property. Arkwright left these with me. We've been through them pretty thoroughly.
Q.
I want you to do a breakdown for me of the salient points, and then I think we can arrange a meeting with the other side. I can see no reason for not settling this with goodwill and a little common sense.
I spoke to you.
Sorry, I think one or two things. Would you mind waiting?
Yes, I would mind waiting.
Beg your pardon.
I've waited out there, and now I've got to wait in here. No, thank you. Let's get one thing clear, shall we? I don't wait for anybody, ever. Who the hell do you think I am? And another thing, tell that old fool not to try and pettit things out of me. He hasn't a hope, but tell him not to. I don't like it.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Penlove. Now, what's all this about?
You were rude to me. You ignored me.
I'm sorry, but...
And all I wanted was to show you my fur coat.
Coat? Oh, yes, the coat. Do you like it?
Of course I do. Suits me, doesn't it?
Yes.
Came this afternoon, so I just had to put it straight on and let you see me in it. What do you think?
Stunning.
Yes? Come here. That's for my lovely coat. Where do we meet this evening?
Pallotta's. 7 o'clock. I've got tickets for a show.
I'll see you there. And don't keep me waiting. Goodbye. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Trumper. Salt, pepper, soup spoons. I think that's everything.
Jean?
In here, darling. How'd it go today?
Much as usual.
Oh, you look tired, sweet. What about the Peterson order?
Johnny's hopeful. We can do the job. And our price is competitive.
But you're not so hopeful.
Yes, I am. I think we'll get it. There's a slight modification I want to work out. How's Jay?
Absolutely fine. Philip.
Hmm?
I hate to fuss you as soon as you come home.
What is it?
For 3 months now, we've tried to save £25 a month just to see if we could.
Well?
Do you know what we've got? £36, less than half.
Is that all?
That's all. Miserable, isn't it? Oh, I've cut down on everything possible. Truly, I have.
I know. What are we going to do?
There's only one thing. I
I went to see Mr. Sanderson today.
What?
Well, I thought it wouldn't do any harm to find out, and Philip, he was terribly kind. In fact, he said it was manna from heaven. They just don't know where to find good secretaries.
No.
But listen, I'll get £12 a week and no Saturdays. £12, Philip.
Less tax.
All right, but it'll close the gap.
And what happens to Joey?
I've thought of that. I can take him to Mrs. Armitage in the morning.
Have you spoken to
Well,
her?
I did sort of explore the ground, and she'll be
You
delighted.
worked it all out, didn't you? Why didn't you tell me first?
I wanted to see if it was possible.
Well, it isn't. You must have known I'd never agree.
But why? Lots of wives work.
Not mine. If you remember, I used to have a wife that worked. Not again.
Are you comparing me with Lily? Are you? Because if so, it's ungenerous of you and unfair. I don't want to do anything except look after you and Joey. Oh, Philip, you must know that. But if my working means we don't have to leave here and live in a slum and starve and scrape, well then, I'll go out and work.
You should have told me. I get suspicious, even of you. You must always tell me. I'm sorry, Jean. I didn't mean to be bloody-minded.
That's all right.
But there's no need to rush things. We may win the case, and if we don't, well, perhaps the Peterson contract will come through. Anything may happen. But let's face it all when the time comes. Yes?
Yes.
And for heaven's sake, stop worrying. I've told you about that before. Now, where's my supper, woman? I'm hungry.
I never knew you when you weren't.
More Christmas cards, Mr. Penlove. They seem to arrive earlier every year. Time was when she never got a card until after Michaelmas term.
Thank you, Trumper. You're a bore, aren't you?
Mr. Penlove,
Yes?
Barron versus Barron.
Yes?
We're on the day after tomorrow.
I'm aware of that.
There's something I believe I should tell you.
Oh?
It's taken me 2 months to get at it. I couldn't find my way through for a long time, but I have an acquaintance, a clerk. He's managed to make friends with Mr. Barker's clerk.
I didn't ask you to do that.
No, but as you know well, it's often done. Many's the time I've done it for you.
Go on.
Well, my acquaintance couldn't get much, but he did get the address of the intervener, Barron's intervener, back in 1956.
Oh, Miss Melbury, wasn't it? Barron's now married to her.
No, Mr. Penlove, no, he's not. The new Mrs. Barron's maiden name was Black. That's where we were careless.
But Miss Forrester said...
So I believe.
You're sure of this?
No doubt of it. Took me nearly a month to find Miss Melbury. She's changed her address a dozen times. Only caught up with her at lunchtime today. She's running a coffee bar in North Kensington.
What did she tell you?
She'd practically forgotten the business, but in the end, she remembered and spoke quite freely. At the time, she was, what do they call it? A dance hostess, I think. Barron paid her some money, and they spent a night in some hotel or other. She gave Barron his evidence and never saw him again.
Collusion.
Evidently, and I fear that they'll use it.
Oh, yes, they'll use it. But that's nothing to... Look, Trumper, I've got to go out right away. Something I forgot about. Expect me when you see me.
All right. Who is it? Oh, it's you. I wasn't expecting you.
I know, but
I thought we agreed you wouldn't come here unless I phoned you.
this is urgent.
Oh, come in then. Here, give me that umbrella. It's dripping all over the floor. I'll turn it in the grate. What's so urgent? Is it to do with the case? Don't tell me Phil's agreed to pay up.
Unfortunately, no.
What then? Well, for goodness sake, sit down. You make the place untidy.
When you came to see me first, 5 months ago, you said that your husband had committed adultery with your friend Jean, the woman he's now married.
So he had.
How do you know?
Well, it was obvious.
She chucked herself at him.
That's not evidence.
What do you want me to say? That I saw them in bed?
Only if you did.
Oh, well, I didn't, but...
Why did you tell me that Jean was the intervener?
Oh, what?
The woman named in the divorce suit.
Oh, I don't think I ever did.
Oh, come now. I remember every word you said.
More than I do.
I assumed that the woman, Miss Melbury, was Jean, and you didn't deny it.
Didn't I?
No. Why did you lie to me?
You call that lying?
I do.
What's the difference? Jean was sleeping with him.
Then why was Miss Melbury cited?
Phil didn't want Jean dragged into it.
I'm afraid I don't believe you. Your divorce was arranged between you and your husband, wasn't it?
So what? Happens all the time. The divorce was legal, and Phil has to pay. You said so yourself.
Yes, the registrar may take a different view when he hears about the collusion.
Who's going to tell him?
Well, Philip's lawyer, almost certainly.
I see.
We may get round that, but there's another question, even more important.
What?
How many other lies have you told me?
None.
Look, we're lovers, aren't we? I love you deeply and desperately. More deeply now than when it began. I think about you constantly. You've been a joy to me and an obsession. You've given me a purpose in life and a fulfillment that I never knew existed. Perhaps because I'm not young and I've never loved anyone before. But you don't love someone like that without learning to know them. You're a clever girl, Lily.
Thanks.
Clever and intelligent and far-seeing. You don't do anything without thought. When you came to me first, it wasn't a coincidence, as you made me believe. You chose me because you found out that I'd known your father, and you knew that would make me sympathetic. Isn't that true?
If you say so.
Of course it is. But none of that matters, you know. All men are liars. And women, too. But when it comes to the law, you must speak the truth. Always. Because the law isn't to be trifled with. Now tell me the truth about your divorce.
All right, then. You asked for it, and you can have it. Phil and I weren't too bad together at first. He's a pretty dull sort, but he was crazy about me. And anyway, I was out a lot working. We decided not to have a baby, at least to begin with. And then I began to want one.
Why?
Why? That's a damn silly question. I just wanted a baby. To have it and feed it and do all the soppy things that women do for babies. I wanted it so badly it hurt. Oh, I wasn't being sentimental or anything. Not that type.
What about your husband?
He'd do anything I asked at any time. Still would come to that if I lifted my finger.
How'd you know?
What?
I said, how'd you know? You told me you hadn't seen him since the divorce. Another lie.
All right. Who cares?
Well, the registrar does. And I do. So your husband agreed. What happened?
Nothing happened. Not a damn thing for months.
What did you do?
I tried to persuade Phil to see someone, a doctor. But that's the one thing he flatly refused to do.
Is he a sensitive man?
Sensitive? I don't know. But sentimental, yes. Oh, yes, he's the sentimental type, all right.
Did you see a doctor?
Me? There wasn't anything wrong with me. There wasn't then, and there isn't now.
So it was left at that?
It damn well wasn't left at that. Phil couldn't help me, so I tried to find a man that could.
You tried?
Why not?
Did you leave home?
That wasn't necessary.
I see. Did your husband know what was going on?
Shouldn't think so. Things like that are easy if you're working, especially in the theater.
I suppose so. But it wasn't successful.
Not at first. But then I thought it was going to be, and that started the trouble. I met a man called Charlie something, Charlie Lewis, that was it, in the fur business. Well, it looked as if things were all right, and Charlie said he'd marry me if I got a divorce. So I told Phil.
Poor Phil. What did he do?
Cried his eyes out. We had the hell of a row, too. But in the end, he agreed to everything. Charlie was particular, you see, about me being the innocent party. So then I started the divorce thing going and went and lived with Charlie. Bit of a laugh, really, when you come to think of it. All that palaver, and then no baby after all.
That sounds like your way of taking it.
What's that supposed to mean?
And I admire your courage. You always have. Well, so far we seem to have got the truth, as near as you'll ever get it from one side. Your husband didn't defend the suit, or you might have been in Queer Street. Charlie, something or other, how long were you with him?
About 6 months. I didn't see many points, somehow.
You didn't love him?
Love him? What are you talking about?
I see. And after the decree, you went abroad?
That's right.
More adventures?
If you mean men, why don't you say so?
Was Clive Boston one of them?
Clive?
The film actor. I mentioned his name once. You said you'd met him.
Well, what if he was? Wasn't any different from the others.
Sorry.
Don't you pity me.
All right. Now then, why did you start this claim for maintenance? The true reason, please.
I told you.
And I believed you, but I'm not sure that I do now. I know you better. You don't have to rely on a handout. You're too clever and too independent for that. And what is it, 7 or 8 pounds a week? It's not enough for a girl like you. So let's go on having the truth.
You do ask for it, don't you?
I must, Lily. Don't you see that?
No, I don't. But you're right about one thing. I don't need the money. I've got plenty, and plenty more where that came from.
Where did it come from?
None of your damn business.
I'll have to know sooner or later. Now, about the claim. If you don't need money...
There are other things. Women like Jean, for instance.
Women like Jean? Why Jean in particular?
I'll tell you why. This friend of mine wrote and told me that Phil and Jean were married and had a baby. A baby, see? A fine boy, this friend says, 7.5 pounds. Do you know what I felt like? How do you think I liked that bit of news? Phil couldn't give me a baby. Not me. I can't do it, but she can. Like that, any time, no trouble. I could have killed her easily if I'd had the chance. And a filthy little brat. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do now. I wouldn't have done an hour ago.
Then you understand why she's got to suffer. Just a bit. Not as much as I have, but as much as I can make her.
Because she can have children and you can't.
Who says I can't?
You said so. And all the doctors you've seen.
I haven't.
Well, of course you have. Do you think they don't know what they're talking about?
They certainly don't. Stop being clever with me. Jean's going to pay.
You mustn't do it. I won't let you.
You won't let me.
Clear it away, Lily, out of your mind. Start afresh. With me. I'll help you. I can, and I will. I'll look after you, and you'll never suffer like that again. I know I'm a good deal older than you are, but...
You don't know me at all, do you?
In spite of what I do know, because of it, perhaps, I'm offering you everything I have to offer. It isn't much, I know, but security, a place in the world.
Are you asking me to marry you? After everything I've told you?
Yes.
Marry you? Who do you think you are?
You know who I am. You know that I love you.
Love? What's this love you keep talking about? Do you think I let you come here because of love? I needed you for just one reason. Because you're a lawyer, a respectable lawyer. And now I've got you tied hand and foot. You're here because you've been useful to me, and don't you forget it. A part of the act, that's all. If I need love, what I call love, I'll go and find myself a man. A real man.
You realize what you're doing.
I think so. Like you said, I don't do things accidentally. Now go away, will you? Go away. Because I'm beginning to hate the sight of you.
I see. Goodbye, then.
Oh, hey! You forgot your umbrella. Oh, well, let's have a cigarette.
2 plain, 2 pearl, knit into back of stitch, slip 1, pass the slip stitch over... Oh, gosh, there's pattern. Now, who on earth? Oh, just when I'm enjoying this concert. Door, Philip.
This is coming out, I think. Door? Yes, all right, you go.
All right, darling.
Good evening. You're Mrs. Barron?
Yes. Good evening.
Is your husband at home? I should like to see him, if I may.
Yes, please come in.
Thank you. Very kind.
He's in the sitting room. Will you...
No, thank you. I shan't keep him a moment. My name is Penlove.
Oh. I'll fetch my husband. Darling, could you come?
Who is it?
Mr. Penlove. He wrote that letter, you know. Lily's solicitor.
What's he doing here?
He wants to see you.
Why? What next? I'm busy.
Come and see him, darling.
Oh, very well, then.
This is my husband, Mr. Penlove.
Well?
Mr. Barron, forgive me. I have a decision to make. A difficult decision. And before making up my mind, I wanted to meet you. To meet both of you. I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes?
Do you love each other?
What the hell do you...
Philip. Yes. Yes, we do. Very much.
Yes. Yes, I can see that. I'm obliged to you. I'm exceedingly obliged. Good night, then.
The man's drunk.
I don't think so. He seemed... I don't know. He had the same look that you had, Philip, when I first met you again, 5 years ago. Exactly the same look.
Dear me, I am late this morning. That wretched bus crawled all the way. Oh, this awful rain. But here I am at last. It's odd. I could have sworn the light was on in Mr. Penlove's room. But it is on. But he must have forgotten to put it out last night. I've never known him do a thing like that. Open too. Good heavens, what a mess. Books all over the floor and Oh, dear God, Mr. Penlove. Mr. Penlove. Mr. Penlove. Mr. Penlove. Oh, Mr. Penlove, really, you gave me a turn.
I'm sorry, Trumper. What's the time?
It's 9:30. Have you been here all night?
Yes, Trump, I have. Oh, sorry for all the mess. I was looking for a precedent.
Where did you find it?
I think so, Trumper. I'm afraid so. It's still raining, I see.
Yes.
After all these years, Trumper, you're a better lawyer than I am.
No, sir.
Don't contradict me, you are. So tell me, what is the true end and purpose of the law?
Well, sir, when you come right down to it, the purpose of the law is to ensure that justice is done.
Thank you, Trumper. I felt sure you'd say something like that. The difficulty, of course, is that justice as an idea is abstract, intangible. It often means different things to different people.
Well, maybe, but the law is no better. It varies from country to country and from day to day as a new law supersedes the old. Consider, for example, the case of Barron versus Barron.
Precisely the case I am considering. Until yesterday, I was acting for a lady whose motives seemed honorable. It appeared to me that she had both the law and justice on her side. It appears now that I was wrong. She is a liar and a cheat.
No.
Her motives are jealousy, malice, and hatred.
Mr. Penlove, I'm sorry.
There's more there, the trumper, than regret for a bad client.
Mr. Penlove, I'm so sorry.
Yes, you see everything, don't you? But you don't know everything. So you can't forgive. And there's the law for you.
What do you propose to do?
Before I fell asleep, about an hour ago, I telephoned Miss Forrester. She's coming here.
Oh, but you must withdraw from the case.
You shall see.
Oh, but... here is Miss Forrester now. I'll go and see to the post.
Well, couldn't you face the day without seeing me?
Will you sit down, please? I want to talk to you.
Glutton for punishment, aren't you?
I want to ask you once more. Will you withdraw your claim?
That again? No, I won't.
You'd be well advised to do so.
Not on your life.
Then I must tell you formally that I no longer act for you.
Why?
I don't have to give any reasons. I don't have to do anything else. In the ordinary way, just retire from the case. That's all a lawyer need do. He doesn't pretend to distinguish between justice and injustice. All that must be left to the court. But here, Lily, here, the lawyer can distinguish, and he must.
Because I hurt your pride? Because I don't love you?
Quiet, that's over and done with.
Is it? Is it really? All that great love you kept telling me about, all gone? What a pity.
I'm speaking now of justice. From everything you told me and everything I've learned about you, I can understand your motives and perhaps sympathize. But my duty seems perfectly clear. I must expose this claim as corrupt and dishonest. I must reveal that your sworn affidavit is a lie from beginning to end, that you are not destitute. I must tell what I know, because if I don't, 2 innocent people will suffer.
And who do you think you're going to tell?
If you don't withdraw, I intend to offer myself as a witness on the other side.
As a witness for Philip?
Exactly.
But you can't. Even I know more about the law than that. I'm your client. Everything I tell you is confidential. They won't let you say a word.
Your counsel will certainly fight tooth and nail to prevent it, but the registrar will have to decide. And there have been cases. In fact, here is one. It isn't an exact parallel.
Good Lord, he's putting it through here on the intercom.
You don't say.
But in that case, a judge allowed the evidence of a solicitor against his former client.
I don't believe you.
On the grounds that at the relevant time, the time when he obtained the information, she was not in fact his client, but his mistress.
You're making this up. It's sheer bluff.
I assure you it isn't.
You mean you'd go into court and tell them about us?
If I have to.
Cardwell versus Cardwell. That's the precedent. Oh, but he mustn't. He mustn't be allowed to.
You'll never do it.
If I have to, I will.
I think you've gone raving mad. You're going to ruin yourself. You know that, don't you?
Perhaps. But I doubt it. Because if I'm allowed to give evidence, your counsel will advise you to drop the case.
That won't stop me.
Then you'll be exposed as worthless, immoral, perjured.
I can still win.
You might have. You just might have done. But not now. I telephoned Los Angeles last night to a lawyer friend of mine.
What?
It was early morning their time, so by this evening I expect a complete record of your marriage to Clive Boston.
How did you know?
Something The way you spoke of him, I took a chance. It's true, isn't it?
Yes.
And you divorced him?
Yes.
And he's been paying you maintenance ever since?
Yes. But you've got to prove it. And if they won't let you give evidence...
Just a moment. Did you get all that, Trumper?
Every word, Mr. Penlove.
Thank you. Now we've got 2 witnesses. You've lost the case, Lily.
You old devil. You've beaten me, haven't you? You're the first man that ever did that. So I hope you enjoy your victory.
You're forgetting your coat.
Keep it as a souvenir to remember me by. But maybe you won't need it. You'll remember me all right.
Yes, Mr. Penlove?
Will you please telephone Mr. Barker? Tell him that we withdraw our case.
Very good, Mr. Penlove.
Victory? No victory for me. But I'll remember you, Lily. I'll remember you for the rest of my life.
That was Stephen Murray as Q Penlove, with Monica Gray as Lily Forrester, in The Intervener by Donald Wilson. The rest of the cast was as follows: Jean Barron, Irene Sutcliffe; Philip Barron, Derek Blomfield; Trumper, Mr. Penlove's clerk, Godfrey Kenton; Caroline Erskine, Janet Burnell; J.V. Barker, the Barron's solicitor, Kenneth Dight. The production was by Audrey.